Matt McChesney. Matt, welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
I don't know if this first question fits your expertise, but I'm going to ask you anyway because you're not scared of any question. Is Shadur Sanders the most powerful black man since Barack Obama?
I don't know the answer to that one. That's a pretty loaded question. I would hope not. I mean, Barack's the president. Um, Look,
Did you hear our Kendrick Perkins clip?
I did. I
Oh,
got it in
okay.
about halfway through it. Look, Shedeur and Coach Prime and just the Sanders in general, they have an aura about them, and when the way they make you feel when you're around them is really their power. Now, that's good and bad. Um, because it's all forward motion with them, which is also a good thing and also a bad thing because there's not a lot of reflection afterwards in a lot of cases. Just on to the next thing. Um, Look, I don't know about power and whatnot. I don't think Shador's in it for power. I think he is just a kid trying to figure out how to play football, and he's cocky and brash, and a lot of people don't like it. I love that shit. I that's what I want out of my quarterback. If I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, we might act like they screwed up big time when they drafted Baker Mayfield #1 and then decided to get rid of him after he won playoff games in Pittsburgh against Big Ben and like something that Cleveland Browns don't do. They decided to get rid of him and bring in a guy who's you can have whatever opinion you want about Deshaun Watson, but if it's a good one, I'm probably going to question not necessarily you, Jason, but it's anybody that thinks Deshaun Watson is a good guy. We're probably going to have a little bit of a pushback on that one. And then, the Browns have gone through God knows how many quarterbacks and how many, saviors, guys that are going to come in and save the program from Tim Couch to Brandon Whedon to Johnny Manziel. I mean, and everybody I'm forgetting. Shedeur in the position he's in with being fifth round and having to overcome, multiple spots on the depth chart to get out there and play the way he did and win. If I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, I am pumped, and I can't wait to see what he does against a really good team this week in San Francisco who's beatable because they don't have Warner and Bosa and all those guys on defense. So, he should be able to dictate from the pocket if that's what he wants to do. So, look, I don't know about power and, rankings and all that kind of stuff in that regard, but I do know that the fact that he angers people the way he does and the fact that he also is so polarizing and so positive for the other half tells me he's probably right in the middle because he's I always say this to my players constantly, especially after they do well. You're not as good as you think you are, and you're not as bad as you think you are. You're probably right in the middle, and that's the way I kind of feel about this man. It's a week by week thing. If he does really well this week, there'll be praise. If he doesn't do very well this week, then everybody that doesn't like the way he acts or what he does, will have more ammunition to say that he can't do it. So I kind of want to see him succeed. Obviously he's a buff, and I want to see him succeed in that regard. But also, I think it'd be cool to, have the Cleveland Browns relevant. And if you could turn that place around, holy hell, man, you can do just about anything.
You mentioned Baker Mayfield, and there were a lot of people, including the Browns, that didn't like Baker Mayfield's attitude and they moved on from Baker Mayfield. But
I'm glad
Baker
you brought this
Mayfield
up.
took a lot of crap for being cocky.
Yep.
No one said, take Colin Cowherd, who was the leader of the Baker Mayfield critics. No one said, Colin Cowherd, you're a racist for not liking Baker Mayfield's cockiness. There are people like me that don't like their quarterback to be cocky. If you want to be a wide receiver and be cocky, have at it. Have at that's go play that position. It's a cocky position. But quarterback, I don't want that. I want my quarterback filled with humility and a quiet confidence. I don't think I'm anti-black for not wanting my black quarterback to be cocky because I didn't like Baker Mayfield's cockiness either.
Okay, so let me just put some names out there from the past. Jim Kelly was a pretty arrogant, cocky dude. Do you like him?
I didn't. I didn't. You're going back into an era where we didn't have a lot of access, so I was probably didn't have much of an opinion on Jim Kelly because I'm either living in Kansas City or Indianapolis, and I'm looking at Jim Kelly from afar. Yeah, he seems. I'll give you the great example. I'll give you the experience I lived through up close. I grew up with Jeff George. He was the number one pick in the 1990 draft. People
He's a
didn't
real
like
jerk.
him because they thought he was cocky, and he got shredded by Mel Kiper, by
Everyone.
everybody. People didn't like Jeff George's perceived cockiness. I happen to know him and know his family and love the guy, and so, like you with Shadur, I defended Jeff George.
So, okay, I guess it's personal preference on leadership because this is a leadership position. That's what the
Yes,
quarterback position is. Um, Personally, being an ex defensive player that moved to offense, I think the quarterback position is a tough guy position. Um, I think Shedeur, even in the softest era of football, the Savage era is dead. The softest era of football, and we're going to talk about fighting here in a minute, which I can't wait. Um, I think in the softest era of football, they have taken away the ability for the quarterback to be that guy. I grew up watching Marino and Elway and Randall Cunningham and Montana and Young and Aikman and all these guys just get, and I'm missing a ton, just get pulverized every Sunday. I mean, just murked. And they would get up and go win games and just and brash and cocky about it. And, maybe not so much directed at the other team and there wasn't as much access, but you could tell, when Elway brings them back and throws a game winner to Rod Smith against the Redskins, he's hyped on the sideline and everybody sees the leader that he is in a brash and cocky way. I don't want the tip of my spear to be dull. I want the tip of my spear to aggravate everybody and piss everybody off. I'm of the mindset that the more people in Cleveland understand the power of the position that they have, not only from a cultural standpoint and you know everybody and their mother now wanting to be a Cleveland Brown fan, the same thing that happened in Boulder. But just from a revenue standpoint, how much more money they're going to make if this is successful, yada yada yada. And then, but really, the main point of this that I'm trying to bring up is Shedeur. I watched Shedeur at CU get pulverized. I don't know, damn near every game because they were, until they still haven't really produced a great offensive line, which we'll talk about in a minute. But his offensive lines there were atrociously coached, and the players. I think there were some good players, but again, it's 5 for 1. And he got his ass kicked over and over and over and over again. I mean, I watched the kid get hit against CSU, against an NFL defensive end, get up, spit blood, and go win the game. So I look at him and go, you know what? The fact that he aggravates everybody so much and he pisses everybody off, and you got people focused on all this off the field stuff and his press conferences, and I can't believe he's so happy all the time and he's always smiling and yada yada yada. That distracts them from what's actually going to happen in the game. And now, I know they played the Raiders. I get it. The Raiders are dog shit. Everyone knows this. But I saw a football team in Cleveland that committed to running the football, that played with the lead, and Myles Garrett had, I don't know, like 15 sacks. That guy's an animal. I think this is the perfect fit for a team very similar to Colorado when him and Prime took over that place. And yeah, I know what I just said. That Shedeur and Prime took over because they did. That they have the opportunity to raise the and elevate everything about it. And now he doesn't have to graduate from Cleveland. He can just keep winning and they can build around him. If you watched on Sunday and you don't think that he has potential to be a high quality starting quarterback, I'm starting to question people's like sanity here a little bit. Like
Hold for
there's
a
a lot of
second.
people I respect.
Hold for a second. You've triggered me. Hold for a second because that's my sanity that's now on the line.
Yeah, and I know, and that's why I said
Yeah, yeah.
it.
Hold for a second, Matt. When you say like put it on levels because Geno Smith has played some good games in the NFL, but he
Yeah,
is not a franchise quarterback. Period.
no, he's not.
And so I've seen quarterbacks have good games. I've seen quarterbacks have contribute to a game dominated by a defense that got 10 sacks. He did what like Trent Dilfer was doing in Baltimore when Ray Lewis and those guys were carrying him. And so, yeah, I see someone that could potentially be another Geno Smith. That's what I've seen so far. We'll see what happens this weekend. But nothing happened this past Sunday that made me go, "Oh yeah, that's a
Let me ask
franchise
you this.
quarterback." Yeah,
Let me ask you this, Jace.
yeah,
Take away all the off the field stuff and everything you may not like about the kid. And that's your opinion, bro. You can think whatever you want. It's
yeah.
fine. And in fact, it creates great banter and we can actually talk about it. And I will say this, if you'll give me the time, the Colorado community that hates that I come on your show, I mean, this is exactly why we can't get anything done in the country because we can never talk to the people we disagree with. So I'd much rather just build rapport and disagree and constantly disagree because every now and then we might agree on some shit too. So look, I asked Coach JB this a long time ago. What do you need to see from Shedeur to give him at least the benefit of the doubt that he could be what I think he could be? And am I a homer? Yeah, bro. I played at CU. I covered the team. I work with tons of players. I got guys that I work with on the roster. Of course, I want to see CU do good. But I'm not a Brown fan. I played for the Jets and the Dolphins and the Broncos. I could give a damn about the Browns. But I sure did watch every snap of the game. So I guess my question to you and everybody is
What does he need
what
to
do you
do?
need to see? What do you need to see to give him the benefit of the doubt?
Here's what I need to see. I need to see him consistently step up in the pocket and not back up in the pocket when he thinks there's a rush.
That's
I
fair.
need to see him not leak to the right or left uh, on virtually
He
every.
leaked right in the game though and threw his best two balls.
Yeah, great. Again, it's not sustainable. It's just, hey, Whitlock, ate at McDonald's yesterday, but still lost a pound. Well, if I keep eating at McDonald's, I'm not going to lose a pound. There's certain habits that are very predictable, and so if he doesn't develop a pocket presence, he's not going to do sustainable things at the quarterback position. And then the other thing, and probably more important, he's got to genuinely humble himself. And again,
Why?
because football, and particularly at that position, it requires it.
Yeah,
It
but
re-
look, I heard you say this, and I not to cut you off, but
yeah,
again,
go
back
ahead.
and forth.
Go ahead.
You were talking about how journalists need to be the point of the spear when talking about this kind of stuff because athlete needs to athlete. Essentially, journalists need to journalist. And I know journalists hate it when I say, "What do you know? You never played. You're a fucking journalist." So it goes both ways. That kind of, that's the first thing I thought when you said that. But look, okay, if Shedeur Sanders can become the player that I think he can become, he's got to keep his swag and his cockiness. That's all we have as players, bro. The game already humbles you enough. It's already brutal enough, and it's soft now. It's everyone on social media because everybody has an anonymous voice now. Every coward thinks that they know and they can put it out there. Trust me, brother. I'm not talking about you. You put everything behind your name, which I respect. Um, you've got especially a quarterback like Baker has that shell. Why doesn't he get crapped on like this anymore? Because everyone knows that's who he really is now. Like there's a lot of dudes around the NFL who've got a ton of swag and a ton of cockiness that people may not
How
like
much
and it may
swag did
rub them
Tom
the
Brady
wrong
have?
way. Tom Brady had a ton of swag, bro. Look, I played in the Monday night game against Tom Brady when I was a rookie. Okay. And we were on the field and we had this like intricate blitz that we were going to throw at him. And the minute he saw it, maybe they recorded it. I don't know. But the minute he saw it, he stopped the film and he goes, "Hey, that shit isn't going to work," and said something to Vrabel, threw a touchdown pass to Vrabel in the
Tom
corner,
Brady ever
walked
do
off the
this?
field talking tons of shit. He may not have flashed the watch, but I've seen him flash 7 rings. So again,
Let me when Shadur
he
gets
talked
to
ton of shit,
3,
bro.
flash 3 rings. When you get to 7 and you're retired, flash all your accomplishments. Got it. Put your
Yeah,
gold
but
jacket on.
hold on. You saying the okay, so now put yourself in the soldier's shoes.
Yeah.
The quarterback's the general. So I've got just laid back, super calm. No one never talks shit. Don't motivate anybody. Sit there, read the paper, drink my coffee, go do my job. That sounds good, but I've never been around anybody that's like that. Not Brett Favre, not Champ Pennington, not Peyton Manning, not Tom Brady. No one. Every quarterback, not Joe Klatt, who was my quarterback in college. Every single one of these guys has a persona. Maybe when the camera's on them, there's one thing, and you take that camera off of them, and they are as cocky and as savage and as big of a leader as anybody else in the room. That's why we all want to follow them. When
There's
I
a
played with Kyle Orton, I didn't sit there and go like, "Man, I'm motivated today." It's what it is. So I want my quarterback arrogant and cocky. I want it to bleed to the rest of my team to believe that they can do anything, and they better feel like that in Cleveland because they're a whole organization for the last 20 years since they moved the real Browns to Baltimore has been a disaster. So this is what it's going to take, in my opinion, to pull this franchise out of purgatory. And you're going to need a brash, cocky individual that doesn't get along with everybody and pisses everybody off. Everyone can focus on that while we're fortifying the army behind him to keep winning. So hopefully that's what happens.
I don't want
Could
to
the wheels fall off? Yeah,
disparage.
of course. But
I don't
if it works, I'm telling you, people are gonna
I
have to
don't want to
backtrack.
it's going to work for a hot minute, the same way it worked for a hot minute for Cam Newton. Cam Newton went out there with all of his arrogance, pranced all over the field, and Superman this and Superman that. He won one MVP and made it to one Super Bowl. The man is probably the most talented football player in the history of football. Could have played outside linebacker, could have played defensive end, could
Fair.
have played middle linebacker, could have played strong safety, could have played tight end.
So
Could
what's the negative?
The negative is he didn't reach his full potential. The man's out of the league at age 32. He's only one MVP. You go look at his stats. He's not going to make the Hall of Fame. He underachieved with all that talent. Look, the great leaders, I'm
I don't
about
know
to
about I
rattle
don't know
off.
about that. I think that's a stretch, but okay.
I'm going to rattle off like, to me, Troy Aikman and Tom Brady. And there's other quarterbacks I could lump into that. But to me, those are the gold standards of quarterback leadership. And I particularly point to Aikman because Aikman never cared about stats, virtually never pointed the finger towards himself, let Michael Irvin be the dog, the emotional leader of that Dallas Cowboys dynasty. And Troy Aikman was the substance, the soul, hey, Mike, I got your back. Mike, you're in trouble. You're in jail. They got you on trial. I'm going to show up so that the organization, the franchise quarterback has your back and we're with you and we're never abandoning you. There's all kinds of ways for quarterbacks to lead that have nothing to do with gold chains, expensive watches, and bragging about themselves. Man, this is off of 1 week of practice. I'm gonna be dangerous when I get a full all that BS. Quit talking. You completed 11 to 20 passes. You did nothing. You threw a screen pass and someone ran it 70 yards. I'll even jump to the other sport because this is to basketball. It's like I want Shadur to be like what Isaiah Thomas was for the
Isaiah
Detroit
Thomas talked
Pistons.
more shit than anyone in
No, he
history.
did
Everyone
not.
hated Isaiah Thomas.
They
Mike can't stand him. Magic fought him and they're best friends. His own teammates didn't like his ass.
wasn't
I
be,
mean, come on.
you
He
know
couldn't
why they
even get on
fought
the
him?
he couldn't even
You
get
know
on the
why they
dream
fought him?
team.
Because he kicked their rear end. That's why they fought him. He had a pack of dogs with him, the Bad
Well,
Boy Pistons, and he
hold
would
on,
sick
Rich.
them
Bro,
dogs on Jordan and
I get it.
everybody else.
So
But he
last
was
year when
not
Shedur's at
cocky.
CU,
Huh? I'm
when
sorry,
he's
go
at
ahead.
CU and he's kicking people's asses and he's winning his awards, and we're not going to talk about the stadium thing and the name, please God. I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah,
I
you
think
don't
it's
want to deal with the
ridiculous.
truth.
Whatever. Um, I can't defend that part. Travis Hunter deserves to be on the stadium. He won the Heisman.
Yeah.
Rashawn's name is up there right next to him, won the Heisman. That makes sense. I'm not talking about the other stuff.
Yeah.
But he did win every award. He kicked ass. They went from 1-11 to 4-8 to 9-4 and winning a Heisman. He had dogs behind him. All they did was win. It was brash. It was cocky. People didn't like it. That's exactly what you just said. That's what we
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, I know. And you're headed to 3-9 this season. You went
Well,
four and
he's
eight,
not on the
nine and
team anymore.
four, and three
If
and
we
nine.
could play professional football and keep him on the team, I doubt they'd be
It is
3-9.
professional football. You just got free agency every year now. It's
Well,
professional
that's a different
football.
conversation, but yes, that is true.
Yeah, Texas Tech just bought a team and they're having an amazing season.
We got to find
Dion
some
and
oil
them
money
bought.
in Boulder, dog. All the liberals in Boulder, we got to find some oil money.
Y'all got plenty of money. Dion just bought a bad team, and the foundation's no good. The culture's no good. That's why you're about to be 3 and
Well,
9.
time out, time out, time out, time out. If you don't pay attention to the culture and give any kind of like eye to the past to help you build the future, you're not going to have any culture, Jason, period. And I've been talking about this for a long time, and people hate that I talk about it. But then I go to the game on Saturday, and I had 150 people easy stop me and ask me about one thing, and that is the fight song and the culture and the past. That has totally had a blind eye turn towards it. And you know what happened on Saturday or Friday night with Coach Mack and his statue and whatnot. I'm not blaming Dion or anybody for it. They don't know, and that is a problem. And that's a
Hold for one
systemic problem.
second. Explain, unpack that a little bit for the.
All
What
right,
happened
so
with Coach?
Coach McCartney, the great Coach McCartney at CU, came from Michigan, helped us win our national title, play for another one, built CU's program from '86 to '94. Um, and then, you know, essentially, I played for Coach Barnett there from 2000 to '04. The end of the Mac era was in '04 when they got rid of Gary, and you know he was always there, yada yada yada. So they built the statue for Coach Mack and they put it on the practice field, which is awesome. And a bunch of his ex-players showed up, all the administration. Colorado had like a big Hall of Fame thing. Mason Crosby got put in, and Andre Gerard and guys like that. And then the team showed up, which was really cool. And they showed up to support Coach Prime. They all took a huge picture. And look, I understand that the fight song is not important to the prime sexuals, and that if you take that as a derogatory, that's fine. I understand that it's not important. It's not important when they got there. It didn't mean a lot. They'd only sung it once in a year. I get it, but it is the national anthem for the university, and it's now became a point of contention that nobody can really talk about, and they won't acknowledge. Yet there's people beating on the doors. So to christen the statue at the end of the event, the team starts to walk out, and Coach Mack's players and everybody starts singing the fight song, you know, clap up and everything, and everybody's getting behind it to make sure that Coach Mack hears it before everybody leaves. And the team kind of just starts walking away, and they turn around and watch, but they don't sing because they don't know. The kids don't know the lyrics. No one's taught it to them. They don't. The way this used to go down, there's a country club version that you sing in the stands. And like, you know, all the frat boys and everybody's like, oh, we get to sing the fight song. Hey, we got the band. And then there's actually the version that the players sing when you're done at camp, like before you start your season. And it's, you know, all the new guys have to go up and sing it in front of the group, and they try and sing it the way they hear it. And it's not the way. And it brings everybody together, and it's ruckus and it's wild, and the coaches aren't involved. It's just a player thing. And that's what it should be. And in the mercenary era of college football where no one understands where they're at, I think it's even more important to get everybody on the same page and actually stand shoulder to shoulder and back to back and fight for each other rather than just the name on the back of your jersey. Um, I'm not mad at Coach Prime for what happened. I'm not mad at the players. I'm more disappointed at this point that I've talked about this for so long and it's like falling on deaf ears and no one seems to care from the administration down. I saw Rick George on the field and pressed him on this issue, said, "Why is this happening?" And he just said, "Well, we're gonna have a competition between the sports to see who can sing it better." And I'm like, that's not gonna, okay, whatever. So when you talk about the lack of culture there and community, it's because we can't find a way to all come together. And I think that's what's missing. And I'm going to say this again, all the discontent and discourse and bullshit and finger pointing and Matt's this and Coach Prime's that, blah, 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 blah. This is the easy part, bro. This is the tradition and pride of the university. Then anybody who thinks that place just like opened up when Coach Prime got there, you're not really a football fan. You don't know shit. You're just simply following the Coach Prime train. So if they can figure out a way to bring this all together, I think that they'll have a much more I think they'll have a tougher, more focused football team that's more about them than they are about the
Let me
individual. And
summarize.
so
Let me
that that
summarize the
that's
problem.
that's going to be it's
Let,
interesting to say the least.
let me summarize the problem. You got bad leadership from your head coach. He doesn't know how to build a culture that brings people together, brings the past together with the present. You need that type of energy at all programs, whether it's Alabama or Colorado. But
That's
that
true.
same bad leadership that you're getting from your head coach is the same bad leadership I see in Shedeur Sanders. Apples don't fall far from trees. And it's a whole me, me, me. I'm the most important thing. Colorado football didn't exist until Deion Sanders got there, and he doesn't care if that offends Matt McChesney or Bill McCartney or Rashawn Salam or anybody else. It's bad leadership. I don't hate Deion. I don't hate Shadur. I don't respect the behavior. I don't think it's sustainable in terms of building a winning culture, a winning environment. Shadur, I think, has NFL talent. He doesn't have the right mindset. And if we need to be pushing him for the right mindset, leave all the rap stuff, leave all the wide receiver, diva behavior behind. You've chosen to play the quarterback position. Tom Brady and his attitude and his approach is what works. Troy Aikman, his attitude and approach is what works. I've covered Joe Montana. I've covered Warren Moon, uh, Rich Gannon. These guys all had it. This guy doesn't, and it's not surprising. His daddy played cornerback, and he's given his son a cornerback's leadership mentality.
Yeah.
It is Shaun King still here? Is Shaun
I'll
King?
say this: I would love to play for a guy like Shedeur as a player on his team. At least we have a chance to win, and that's all I really give a shit about. Hi,
Shaun?
Shaun King.
Yeah.
Hello,
What's up?
friend.
What's going?
How are you today?
I'm excellent. Happy
Good,
early
man.
Thanksgiving.
It's good to see you.
Is Shaun's mic good? Or we? Yeah. Okay. Shaun was at the game. Me and Matt have been having a little Shadur back and forth. You actually went to the game, Shaun. How optimistic should we be that Shadur is a Hall of Fame quarterback and ready to have
Oh
his
my
number
God, here we
retired?
go.
I'm just this is what Matt's been arguing. He wants to retire his Browns jersey, just like the
I didn't
Nats.
say any of that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shaun.
I think the one thing that I've really challenged myself is to be fair in my evaluation of Shadur moving forward. No matter what I think about the behavior or the antics or how I would advise the actions to be presented different, he's still a rookie starting his first game. It was on the road. So the mission at hand was to get the win, Jason. They got the win. That's all you can ask of a rookie on the road making his first start. So you can tell he energized the Browns. He made some plays. I thought the mistakes he didn't make spoke volumes about potentially him becoming a consistent player at that position. I was concerned and worried before the game that he would go out and try and do too much. But once they got up 14-3, I mean, they were playing a wounded animal, almost a dead dog. And he managed the rest of the game, and they got the win, got on the plane, went back to Cleveland. You can't ask anything more from a rookie making his first start.
Thank you, Shaun.
I totally agree with you,
Good job,
Shaun.
Shaun.
He rode Myles Garrett's back as well as any quarterback could. I mean, he hung on for dear life, and the 10
So,
sacks the defense gave him and all that. I mean, who could do better? I mean, maybe Trent Dilfer. I think maybe we've
oh
seen
my
the next
God.
Trent Dilfer in Shedeur Sanders. We haven't seen anybody saddle up a defensive player the way he did Myles
So,
Garrett since
Phone
Trent
Nick.
Dilfer did that for
so,
Ray Lewis.
so
Go.
as a quarterback, game flow matters. And so in a game where they scored offensively, they got a defensive touchdown, you could tell the Raiders were imploding. I thought
Yeah,
he
they
did
were
a good
fighting.
job of just managing the game. Now we'll see down the line if they fall behind. Can he engineer a comeback? Can he make throws under pressure? But I'm just strictly talking for first start with the game flow being what it was. He got the win. That's pretty much all you can ask. And listen, Shadur made a comment about veteran quarterbacks and how we had our time and we were put in games, but it wasn't as a rookie. I just want to be very clear and for context. I was a rookie quarterback in Tampa. It was week 11. I was the backup. I had not gotten a first team start the entirety of the year. Trent Dilfer gets sacked on the second play of the third quarter, breaks his collarbone. I remember this like yesterday. I couldn't find my helmet. It's not like you're standing on the sideline as a backup with your helmet fall 4 quarters. I was thrust into the game. We were up 6-3. Unlike the Browns, we had Super Bowl expectations. Like we were in a pressure cooker. We had 4 future Hall of Famers on defense. It wasn't, okay, let the young quarterback go out and we'll see what happens. No, it was, if you don't screw the game up, we win. So I was put in a position where I had to manage some games, Jason, and that's a hard thing to do when you're trying to prove that you belong in this league.
Matt, we're going to let Matt go, but I want to give Matt a chance. And so we're going to put a pin in the Shedeur conversation, but I want to give Matt a chance to talk a little bit about what I opened the show with. All this, the foot brawls. Is this stuff being shoved in our face over social media? And we
Yes.
think it's more pervasive than it was back in the day. I kind of think social media is tricking us, that these post-game fights, spitting and all that, this has been pretty commonplace in football forever, and it's just social media is fooling us into believe that there's an epidemic. Matt?
There's no epidemic. If anything, it's calmed down. I mean, I don't remember going to a practice without fighting for 10 years. And that's my teammates and friends. Like there's bad blood, especially back when I played college football and Shaun played, like where you couldn't transfer and there was no mercenaries. There was real disdain and like hatred. And I knew when I played Richie Incognito when he was at Nebraska, like I better have my chin strap buckled because he's coming from out of nowhere to take out somebody. And I respected that. I'm not mad at him for it. You had to match nasty. If you don't match nasty, he's going to whip your ass. So I don't like the spitting stuff, but I watched Bill Romanowski spit in Ty Street's face. They were about to get down on national TV. That was 30 years ago. So look, football has, I personally think there's 2 things. I'll do the serious one first. Okay. When you legislate all the nastiness out of the game, you can't legislate the nastiest out of everybody's head. And when you can't hit anybody anymore and everything's a foul and you can't take it out on the quarterback and you can't strike somebody across the middle and you can't actually take out the ferocious intensity that you play the game with, especially as a defensive player or an offensive lineman or a lead blocker when you're not a skill position player. And I'm not talking shit. I'm saying it's just a different mindset. When you take that out and you penalize it and I have to bury it, it's going to erupt in another way. So it erupts post game. It erupts with nut shots. It erupts with spitting. You can't take it out on the guy on the field, so we're going to take it out afterwards, and it's going to turn into a thing. I personally think that this will never happen, but I would love the NFL to embrace this. I would love for what was the linebacker's name last night that cheap shot at Jennings.
Mooring, I think was his name.
Yeah, so I would love
Travian
right after
Mooring.
that happened, right after he clocked Jennings in the nuts, like Jennings just walks over to the refs and says, challenge. And they both take their helmets off and walk to the 50-yard line and start throwing down, dog. And then you penalty box both of them for 2 minutes. Carolina doesn't get a linebacker anymore, and wide receiver Jennings doesn't get to play for the Niners anymore for 2 minutes. Now, I know that'll never happen because we live in the softest society ever, and it is a fight, but it happened in hockey forever and still does. So I personally think that if you're going to legislate all the nasty out, something bad's going to happen.
Great point, Matt. Thank you for joining me. That was awesome. I had not considered that at all.